And let's catch up on the WTA Tour events that happened this week. We do have Qatar, the Doha event, 1,000 title, which was won by Amanda Anisimova, winning her very first 1,000 event in her second 1,000 final, and having a storming week, really, defeating six top 40 opponents, including Jelena Ostapenko in straight sets in the final. I mean, Anisimova, we've seen her reach a semi-final of a Grand Slam before many years ago. It's been a while since we've seen her play this well. She did get to a final last year of a thousand in Toronto, but yeah, to come away with the title with some impressive wins under her belt. Chris, how impressive was Anisimova this week in Doha?
I mean, really impressive. I think this is something that, we didn't necessarily think was going to happen for her this soon in the season. Obviously, she made a final at 1,000 last year. I was genuinely very, very impressed because the conditions I didn't think necessarily favoured her. It's quite gusty, it's quite windy over there, but it seemed like the big hitters did perform really well, with Ostapenko also making the final and Alexandrova also having a deep run. That backhand was on fire from Anisimova. It's such easy power that she's always had. And I think given all of the things that happened in her past, a very tragic passing of her father, and then ultimately that was a huge part of her tennis experience, tennis journey. He was a very big influence on her, which obviously goes without saying. And she took some time away. She did some training at college. She went away and had a life away from tennis, and now she's come back. And a lot of people wouldn't have thought that she would have reached her career high ranking after coming back. But now she's back in the top 20. Well, not back. She's in the top 20 for the first time. And you just think it's such a nice story because she's been through so much and now she's back on top.
Yeah, just a year ago, she was ranked in the 200s, and going into Doha, she was 41 in the world. So she's like halved her ranking just by winning this title alone. And I mean, you look at who she beat, she beat Azarenka, let me see, Kostic, Fernandez, Badosa. I mean, these are players who obviously have caliber and have had recent form as well, especially likes of Badosa, for example. And Ostapenko had beaten Iga Swiatek, but, quite comfortably, but didn't, come up against Anisimova and was able to kind of replicate that. So, yeah, really, really impressive
Yeah. She was
from
playing
Anisimova.
qualifying, by the way, qualifying at Wimbledon. She didn't make it to the first round. That's how far she's come since last summer.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it is crazy.
First American player to defeat six top 40 opponents since Serena in 2007 as well. So, and there's a lot of American players up there. We know Coco Gauff, Emma Navarro, JPEG.
Mm.
I bet, and this movie is kind of like that should be me up there. It's kind of my time to kind of come back and get where I should be now I've had that time away. But Joel, how do you think, this tournament, obviously maybe a surprise winner from Anisimova coming in unseeded. Obviously, all eyes were kind of on Iga Swiatek, Sabalenka. Sabalenka fell by the hands of Alexandrova, in that match where the cat appeared. And Swiatek losing to Ostapenko in the semi-finals. We know she doesn't like playing Ostapenko. And
No.
6-3, 6-1. Tell us a bit more about that one.
Yeah, I mean, Ostapenko is just Swiatek's kryptonite, and I think now actually she's the only player to have a winning head-to-head record on the WTA tour against Iga Swiatek, and it is so conclusive. And I think with Swiatek and that matchup against Ostapenko, the power that Ostapenko plays with, she just doesn't give you that time. I don't think she is there to get into rallies and then wait for that kind of perfect opportunity to hit a winner. If the ball is there to be hit, Ostapenko hits it, and that's why I think we see her play with such a low margin, where she can generate loads of winners, but she can also generate lots of unforced errors. But I do think in that match against Swiatek, she just did not let Swiatek settle, did not give her time to get into the rallies. And I think there were times where I was looking at the Swiatek serve, and the second serve particularly, whether she wasn't really changing it up. It felt like it was a bit predictable at times, and Ostapenko she already knew what was coming. And as a result, it just felt like a really easy victory for her. And Chris, you spoke about the conditions as well. I was a bit surprised because I thought, Swiatek, she plays with spin, heavy spin, can have a lot of control. But it was actually Ostapenko who was dealing with the gusty conditions a lot better, even though she has a more of a kind of, strike first power game to her?
I think maybe she just went for broke. I think she really gets fired up about these opportunities when she plays against.
Oh, she loves it, doesn't she?
She does. I think she likes to prove she can beat anyone, but then also go on to lose against anyone. Like she's already out in Dubai, lost to Uchiyama, who's actually ranked 62 in the world, who I think was a qualifier there. So she's gone from a 6-3, 6-1 defeat of Iga Swiatek to losing 3-3. So very Ostapenko-esque, and probably, if you're a Swiatek fan, you're thinking, oh, here she goes again, because, I mean, I don't think that Swiatek would necessarily lose to that opponent. But, I mean, Ostapenko, she really is one of those players where on the day, she can do anything. And I think she said she was expecting to win this. She walked out there with all the confidence like she would. And, I mean,
she's had no form this season, though.
No, but she's 5-0 against Iga Swiatek. You've got to love it.
I think you just sometimes going by the form book does not count. We've seen Sabalenka out in the first round, basically, Anisimova in the final, Ostapenko very up and down. I mean, it's worth noting, I think all the semi-finalists have gone out already in this week's event. So obviously it's taken a lot out of them, and maybe consistency is not gonna, be the way forward. But all credit to Anisimova for walking away with this title. It's her third title overall, but of course the biggest of her career. Who doesn't want a 1,000 event title? And yeah, just on another note, Elena Rybakina, there was some news around her coach, her ex-coach, Vukov, Stefano Vukov, who's been banned by the WTA. So, Rybakina, she reached the quarterfinals, lost to Swiatek in straight sets, but obviously some aggro going off court of this decision, and she kind of, I think, disagrees with the ban, and yeah, it's been upheld by the WTA. So see a lot of stuff kind of going on for her, outside of the tennis court. Chris, I know you've been following this to some extent. So what's your take on this situation with her ex-coach?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily a surprise to a lot of people. There have always been reports that maybe it is a bit of a difficult relationship that exists there. He will be missing about 1.5 years with this suspension, and they were informed by the chief executive of the WTA Tour on the 31st of January. It is clear that Rybakina has said that she did not raise a complaint. This has not come from her. It's come from people who have witnessed things. So some of the things that's in this summary that they were presented with as to why he was banned was about kind of not being particularly pleasant to her, really, to put as an understatement, calling her sort of stupid, saying if it wasn't for him, she'd still be in Russia picking potatoes. Lots of things like this that I know they believe that this has led to a situation which has made her be seen crying in public and pushing her beyond her physical limits, which they believe caused Rybakina to become ill, and some of the reasons for her absence on the tour. Again, she denies all of this and says that she's never had an issue with anything that's happened. But Archer, who is the chief executive of the WTA Tour, says that we need a safe environment for everyone. And that she thinks that this might be a bit of a toxic relationship that exists. And this is the measures the WTA feel they need to do to keep everyone safe on the tour. So a very difficult situation, not one you'd ever want to see anyone in. And especially considering the fact that Rybakina has so much talent and she is still playing on the tour. And it's going to be tricky to play without your coach, especially because that relationship that she had with Goran has come to a close. So she has got another coach now, and we just have to hope that things will become a bit more stable for her.
Yeah, it's not a nice situation, it seems. All the stuff that went on does go somewhere in explaining what we were kind of seeing from her last year. So we'll await further news and see how she gets on. But yeah, it's not the most pleasant of news stories. And obviously the WTA feeling justified to make that decision based on the evidence that they had.